So, should the Sussexes have their royal titles stripped? Email me, dan@gbnews.uk. Vote in our poll at GBNews on Twitter. But before all of that, I'm happy to be joined by star Daily Mail columnist Sarah Vine, the journalist and broadcaster Angela Epstein, and author of Elizabeth and Philip, The Story of Young Love, Marriage and Monarchy, Dr. Tessa Dunlop. So, Sarah Vine, I mean, it's fascinating to me. Harry bristled at the suggestion there, didn't he?
Really cross.
That the title should go. But then in the next interview, he said, "No, but I'm never coming back." So why is he so desperate to keep them?
Well, I think it does seem, for a lot of viewers, it does seem very odd. He doesn't want to come back to the country. He seems to hate his family and everything about royalty, and yet he still wants to have this title. I suppose it's a currency for him, though, isn't it, in America? It's all he's got left. I mean, at the end of all this, when he's finished spilling all the beans and there are no beans left, what's he going to do? Be sort of rent a duke? I guess that's what's left of him. A dukeogram.
Well, he is being treated now in the States, Angela, as if he's some sort of C-list celebrity. It was fascinating for me. I actually watched the entire Good Morning America show today because I wanted to see it in context. What was really interesting to me, this was only the 5th biggest story in their news rundown. They just view him like another sort of throwaway celeb. This wasn't a big deal for them, that interview.
No, but I think there is a sort of an element of lionising the royal family in the States, and it's a generalisation. If you go back to Sarah Ferguson, who had an awful lot of currency once her and Andrew split up, because she was still the former Duchess of York. And I think the other thing is he's probably feeling a little petulant about it because this title was a gift to him when he got married. The Queen, she bequeathed the title to him and to Meghan. And there's a part of him that probably thinks, who are you to tell me that I can't have it? This is part of me. And that kind of, his default position is always rage, entitlement, victimhood. And it just serves more that picture if it's taken away. But he definitely should.
Angela, Tessa Dunlop, are you still supporting these two? After all of this, after all of these interviews, are you still supporting this bloke?
I pray for patience over the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Breathe.
This is where it's totally misconstrued by Sir Dan Wootton, who always suggests that I'm hunkered in alongside.
Well, you are
Meghan
sitting in
and Harry.
that seat.
And you're making the sofa bounce.
OK, but just always batting their corner. I'm not. I am, however, a monarchist light, but nonetheless someone who buys into this British constitution where our head of state wears a crown. I like it. I realise it's part of my identity, part of my DNA. Just like for Harry, part of his DNA is being a prince. And guess what? Hey presto, also being a duke. And I think all three of you are probably more heavily in the monarchist camp than I am. If you really are all in the monarchist camp, then stop your snivelling, bitchy little comments. Stop cloaking our royal family in your hard right propaganda.
But I wouldn't
do the institution any favours.
I wouldn't be complaining at all if he wasn't being so rude about them. That's the problem. If he had just gone to live in America and said, right, I really don't want to do this. I'm sorry, I'm going to go and live in America. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to make documentaries about elephants, whatever it is that you want to do.
By the way,
I'm sure that's coming. That would have been fine. But instead of which, he's gone completely insane.
Tessa, you've lost the plot on this, because I'll tell you who's doing the snivelling bitching. It's Harry.
Yes.
It's not us. He is saying more vile and more private things than anyone in the British media.
It may or may not surprise you, but I don't have a hotline to Harry. But I am sitting in this room with you, and I'm asking you.
We're responsive to the stuff that he's dishing out this stuff day after day.
Now you're playing the victim. Well, you can't help yourself, Angela, but to respond with crocodile tears.
Yeah, absolutely. Complete crocodile tears. But the thing is that the more material he gives us, the more we're entitled to comment on it. As Sarah said, if he put up and shut up and said, OK, the shutters are coming down, we're going to the States, bye-bye, it didn't work, I've got this nice new bird, we're off.
Just quickly on Sarah playing the, hey, I'd be nice if they were nice. Now, I've read your columns, and I'm a dedicated fan. Things like, forget the Fab Four, now we've got the Magnificent Seven. Even when they're not doing anything, they're scratching their butt in Montecito, you're writing about them. It's not fair to pretend you would ever ignore them.
Is it justifiable what Harry's doing? Can I ask you a very simple question?
I think it's very sad what Harry's doing.
That wasn't the question I asked you. Sorry to nick your role.
Okay. ahead.
But not for these prices. But seriously, do you think there is any justification in Harry absolutely rummaging through the cupboard? The sound of the barrel being scraped is so deafening and revealing every little sordid detail. Is there, not sad, is there a justification?
I think it was predictable when in early 2020
You're prevaricating.
No, I'm not. I'm not being. I'm simply trying
Tessa. No. I am going to elaborate
my hand up,
on this question here.
I'm just
Is
put my
there
hand
any
up.
justification for him revealing a private conversation between King Charles and Prince William at Prince Philip's funeral? Is there a justification for that? And is there any justification for him revealing that Prince William is circumcised?
Thanks for reminding me of Prince William's Willie. I would have preferred not to have been informed of any of that information. I think it's sad what's happened. It's deeply painful.
OK, so there's no justification.
There is a question.
That's not fair, because you're not letting me caveat it. We can't control Harry because I'm scared for the monarchy, darling. I'm properly scared for the survival of our monarchy.
But then look,
because what's happened is it's cleaved to the right because of you guys.
Sarah Vine, Tessa has made lots of negative comments about the British media.
Sure.
I want to respond to some of what Harry has said over the past 24 hours, because actually he is making out as if briefing the press and Camilla trying to improve her media relations is some sort of crime, when I know for a fact that Harry and Meghan were doing exactly the same thing when they were in the royal family.
Well, they were picking and choosing the people they were going to speak to, and that's OK. They're allowed to do that. I think the question also here is, regardless of what any of us think about whether or not they should keep their titles, the question is, should the palace remove them? Should the king take the titles away?
Well, I say yes.
I'm not sure. That's the thing. I think perhaps not. I think the best response the king can have at the moment is just to wait and see, because he's going to burn himself out sooner or later, and just see where things are afterwards. I slightly think that if they wade in, and sorry, I will just finish. If they wade in and take the titles away, they could sort of start it all over again and then turn them into martyrs and victims.
That's the problem, though, because there's always this recipe for martyrdom. It's the same as should they go to the coronation. I mean, really, there's no justification for him going.
Believe me, Tessa, they will turn up.
They'll turn
Tessa,
up.
why are you looking so angry?
Because you're an Antipodean. You've just flown in from New Zealand. You understand that it's not just
I'm actually a British citizen.
But, OK, but you straddle... Come on, you straddle two continents.
Absolutely.
So you understand better than most of us sitting here about the power of the British monarchy overseas, that Charles isn't just king of one realm, but in fact of 15.
Well, believe me, the people who I spoke to in New Zealand and Australia were disgusted by
the people
Prince
you
Harry.
spoke to?
Yeah. So I'm speaking anecdotally. They were disgusted by Prince Harry. And actually, what's really interested me, support for the monarchy in both New Zealand and Australia has remained strong since the late...
Yeah, and that's why I think they should hold their thunder. I think they should just wait and see what happens. Because actually...
Be the better man, you say.
Yeah, I think so. Just sort of take the moral...
I think they should go further than that. I think they should demonstrate they are a broad-shouldered, state-funded institution. They are also King is defender of the faith. We need redemption. There's forgiveness. I think they need to offer an olive branch. I want them at the coronation. And I will also... Harry said himself he wants a little role. I would like to see him maybe go on a tour of New Zealand.
I mean, constitutionally, he doesn't have... You'll know this better than me. But I don't think constitutionally there is a role for Harry in the coronation,
I mean, I'm not sure how there could be.
I don't think there is.
He's dropped down to number 6.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to create it.
He's monetised his suffering. So all the things that you say are very grandiose and very noble, and I appreciate and respect why you want to think that way. But the fact is, there is a greasy palm that is being crossed for every revelation he's had, and he's cherry-picked. He's been very canny. I'll give this to Oprah.
And can I remind everybody that if Harry doesn't turn up to the coronation, that is less clicks for the Daily Mail and it's less clicks for GB News. Suddenly, maybe I'm reviewing the idea of Harry being at the coronation.